But today is going to be pretty chill, and a lot of time for you all to begin planning and thinking about your campus. So hopefully, I'm hoping that more people hop on so we can actually break up into groups and it's more than just one person from your campus. So that is my hope. So we'll see how it goes as we begin to do some check-ins and get started. So I'm going to start my share screen. Kayla, can you give me access to share screen?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, you should have it now.
Awesome, thank you. So today we're talking about assessment-informed planning. But before we hop in, if you don't have it already, please include your school's acronym in your name. So this will make it easier for when we want to start breaking you all up into your schools. So if you don't know how to do that, there should be some dots if you hover over your screen or your picture, and it should be an option to rename. You should be able to add an acronym to it. It's thunderstorming here. It just started raining out of nowhere. All right, so make sure you do that, and then I'll remind people as they hop on that they should do that. So it'll make the transition for the second half of our time together pretty easy. So let's do some check-ins. I would love to hear how you all are doing, but also what's been standing out for you for the training, and then also what are you looking forward to for this fall? I think we've been having a lot of conversations and like concerns about virtual and doing ministry virtual. So I would love for us to kind of just share just some things that we might be excited about or looking forward to for the fall, to try to get our minds off of the scariness of learning a new way to do ministry. So anybody can go first, but I'm asking that everyone shares.
I can go first. I'm doing well today. I almost didn't wake up on time to go to the first meeting, but I did. So there's that. What's standing out so far for me is everybody's different perspectives on like what we can do going forward, because there are some ideas I had, but then there's some things I never even thought about before until I heard them from other people over the last 2 days. And then what I'm looking forward to this fall, I guess just being, because I'm going to be going, I have an apartment back in Muncie where Ball State is, so I will be in Muncie anyway, either if we go to just online or not. So I guess just being closer to some friends during this time is what I'll be looking forward to.
Thank you, Kayla. Just a note, if you just hopped on, please, in your name, please include your school's acronym, so it'll make it easier for us to make a transition later in our seminar. So yeah, so just make sure you include in your name just the abbreviation of your school's name, so we can break you up in that way. But anybody can share on these 3 questions: how you're doing, what's standing out so far in the training, and then what are you looking forward to this fall?
Hey, it's Darian. I'm doing pretty fine. I am a little tired, didn't really sleep that well last night. but what's standing out so far from the training is getting a lot of new ideas to try to kind of put into perspective. I really like the 3 paras that we did yesterday, just trying to see, like, you know, what are the strengths and the weaknesses that we have for our chapter, and like what we could change and probably incorporate a little bit more. And what I'm looking forward to this fall is trying to put those into action, because there were a lot of things that stood out that I think I might bring back to my leadership team, as in terms of like what we should probably utilize and incorporate in our chapter. So I'm looking forward to just trying to incorporate a lot of those ideas into reality.
Awesome. Thank you.
I can go next. I've been doing well. I have been a little tired myself. One thing that has stood out to me from the training so far is some of the girls previous to me were hitting the nail on some of the things I felt, which were learning the different perspectives and learning about ideas that can be implemented with my own on my own campus. And one thing that I'm looking forward to is just connecting with the people on my campus, because I think with us being, with the social distancing and whatnot, we can only connect, so much. So I think I'm really looking forward to seeing familiar faces again and just reconnecting. Yeah.
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. My sister just gave birth to my first niece yesterday, so I'm really excited about that and can't wait to meet her. What's standing out so far is the focus on our campus and how we can connect and better understand Black students on our campus, and also reaching out to them. So when we were talking about how we can connect to people with this kind of new normal virtually, how we can virtually administer to others, I think that was really important and helpful. And I'm just looking forward to trying out this new position in leadership. I'm excited. Can't wait to, reach out to more people and learn and, minister to others. And yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm doing well. I had a busy morning, but I'm doing okay. Something that's standing out for me during the training is just being the way we need to be intentional about what works for our campus and what our campus specifically can improve on, like what will work for events or what will work just for different teachings as well. And just realizing that all different campuses are different. So what might work for one campus might not work for our campus. And something I'm looking forward to this fall is connecting with other people and the incoming freshmen and transfer students, even though it will look different. I'm still looking forward to connecting with them as well.
I'm Kelsey, and I'm doing well. I am really hot because we don't have air conditioning in our apartment, and so I'm just like constantly sweating, it feels like. Yeah, what's standing out is just all the stories that people have been sharing of what God has been doing through Impact, and even hearing the different kind of outreaches that have been done is really awesome, really encouraging. And then I'm looking forward to in the fall working with Impact. I'm on staff with Crew, and so this fall I'll be helping out a lot with Impact, and I'm so excited. And this weekend has made me, even more excited to do that.
All right, I think Brianna, you might be the last person that has not shared yet. Oh no, there's more. And Kyle.
Okay, I can go. I'm doing pretty well today. It's very hot and muggy outside, so trying to stay indoors with the air conditioning. What's standing out to me is just the different things we can implicate in our chapters that's been working in other people's chapters, and having good outreach and like reaching out to the neighboring churches around us and stuff like that. I think will be really good for this coming fall. And then something I'm looking forward to this fall is just like starting my senior year and looking more towards like the future and like graduating. So.
Thank you. Kyle?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Um, actually just woke up and I was like, I joined the thing because I forgot. So, what is standing out so far from the training? It's a lot of things, honestly. I did like the thing we did yesterday, the maturing track. We was talking about, I believe, the like the 5 reasons why the group fails or something. I don't really know. I can't remember, but it was good. I took down notes. That's all I know. I'm really looking forward to what's it called? I guess the semester, just like finding my major, finding out what I want to do, because I'm a junior, but I'm in such a like a wide branch that I don't really know what I want to do yet, I guess you could say. But I'm looking forward to that because I feel like I'm really gonna find out soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. Jimmy, how you doing? Is he on? Jimmy?
I'm on. Sorry, just got back.
I was just asking how you doing.
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I guess I'm about the same as yesterday, but twice in the same space. So, but I'm okay. I'm excited about how these meetings have been going.
Wow.
But just, someone just tried to check in with me about how am I feeling with the loss of John Lewis and C.T. Vivian. And it's just a lot to process. It's a lot of death.
Mm-hmm.
And not the opportunity to really mourn and grieve as I would prefer. So,
Yeah.
Sorry. I stepped away to go to the restroom.
Okay. Well, I am doing all right as well. I'm a little tired. It's been a long week, but I'm still doing pretty good, just a little tired. One of the things that's been really standing out to me is that conversation about virtual ministry. I think that was very exciting to hear all the different ideas and thoughts that people had about reaching freshmen and transfer students, and how to engage with each other in person safely was really encouraging to hear. But also for this semester, I'm just looking forward to whatever God has in store, and looking forward to see how God really reaches students in this way. I feel like in the spring we were just in survival mode and said, let's make it through the semester. And so now we're kind of realizing that this is our reality. So at least for this semester and possibly, and chances are spring semester. So just excited to see how God moves in this way. And even things that we learn how to do virtually that we might continue to do after we make it out of this time of COVID and being in the middle of a pandemic. So really looking forward to that. So today we're talking about assessment. And so, this topic is not as exciting, but it's very, very important to us learning how to effectively reach and support our students. So just a simple definition of assessment is an evaluation or estimation of the nature, quality, and ability of someone or something. It's essential to growing your ability to reaching the Black community on your campus. And so the first step in assessment, and excuse me if you hear thunder or rain, in my background, it's like crazy outside right now. So just a heads up if you hear thunder and rain. But the first step in assessment is really identifying who you are, why you're here, why we're here, and what do we want to achieve. And luckily, because we are a part of the impact movement, this is already done for us. So we know our vision, we know our mission, which tells us what we're here to do, as well as having the impact values and the 3 pairs. So these, when we think about assessment and evaluating our ability to reach Black students on our campus, we're doing it from a place of how well are we reaching the impact, mission, vision, values in the 3 pairs. So outcomes of assessment, the goal is that this is something that is ongoing and continue in a continuous process, but also that is designed to improve our outreach. So the assessment cycle is literally us assessing, planning, and improving, and doing it over and over again. And one of the things that I find interesting is that that's really how at the UW-Madison, how we came up with, the way we are doing ministry, they are doing ministry there right now is really heavily rooted in this idea of assessment. Every multiple times a semester, really evaluating and talking to students and talking to the leadership team and saying what adjustments can we make to better serve our students. So there are, there's 2 types of assessments I'm gonna talk about. Assessments is something that I'm still learning. So these are some ideas and things that I've seen work pretty well. And so the first one is assessments where you're getting a formal or informal response from students. So this can happen during events or conversations with impact students or with other Black students on campus. It can be a brief planned or unplanned discussion during large group or small group. So if there's been times where you have extra time after a large group and you want to get people's input about how things are going and you didn't plan to, like that's the perfect time to go in and say, like, how are you experiencing impact? Where you're enjoying the most? So like actually taking advantage of when you do have extra time or spare time, or even when you have one-on-one time with students, always asking people how they're experiencing impact. So some questions you can ask is what makes you want to come to impact, or what doesn't make you want to come? What do you enjoy the most or least? How did you enjoy an event, or how do you enjoy small group? What is your view of impact? And this is a really good question for people that don't attend impact, because this tells you a lot about some of the things that might be causing people not to come, or even being able to see your ability, like how the Black community on your campus views impact. And then what have you heard about impact is another question. And then formal responses, one other formal response you can do is conducting a survey for impact students and or the Black community on campus. And this is something that I've done for all of my campuses, where we will have, and I'll make sure you all get a link to this. It's in a document that I'll send you all soon when you break up into your groups. But we did a survey and we tried to get as many Black students on all of our campuses to fill out this survey. And it was questions for those who were actively involved in impact, as well as those who weren't involved in impact at all. So it really gave us a lot of intel about how students thought about impact. If, we asked them questions about, like, if you had to write the impact mission, what would it be? To identify, do they know what we're about? Do they know our mission? Do they know our goal and our purpose on campus? So I'll definitely share that all with you all later on. And then this is there's a lot of ways that you can assess your campus, but this is a tool that I use pretty often because it's a quick and easy way to assess your reach on campus. So it's called a SWOT analysis, and you use the impact, mission, vision, values in the 3 pairs to measure as a measure to identify your effectiveness. So you take the impact, mission, vision, values in pairs, and you look at your strengths and say, what strengths do we have when we think about the impact, mission, vision, values in the pairs? What weaknesses do we have? What strengths do we have? What threats do we have? And so here's some other questions that kind of help you think through that. So strengths are, what do you do well? Opportunities are what are your goals? Weaknesses are where do you need to improve? And then threats are, what obstacles do you face? So for example, on one of my campuses, we noticed that we do a really good job at building community among students. But a weakness of ours was follow-up. We were able to connect with a lot of students very quickly. A lot of students were attending Impact, but it was always like this hard thing to get people to come consistently. So we had to figure out like, what does it look like for us to follow up with them? But then in addition to that, one of the opportunities we had was that because for some reason we have so much of a buy-in without even having proven ourselves to a campus, that that can open up doors for us to really reach many students on campus. But then the threat was that our student leaders were just really struggling. They had a lot of time commitments that interfere with their ability to lead and impact. So so I guess I'm hoping that that's helpful for you to begin to think about as you process through, like, how do I use this tool to evaluate my campus? Is just thinking through like what ways have these things affected when you're thinking about them. I'm sorry, my words are all screwed up right now, but just really working through each one of these. And I think the most beneficial way that I found is really focusing in on one and saying, for strengths, okay, looking at the impact mission to equip Black students to be disciples of Jesus Christ who integrate their faith in every aspect of their life. How well are we doing that? What are we doing well? Are we discipling students? Do they realize that this, like, the way that we're discipling should infiltrate every part of their life? Then doing that with the same thing with the mission. What are we doing well with this? Then the values. You know, you might be doing good with biblical IQ and missions and other things, but how are you doing on justice? How are you doing on the other values? And really just working through that, and then going to the pairs. How are we doing with pair school? How are we doing with pair community? How are we doing with pair church? Almost forgot the third one. Any questions or comments? I'm going kind of fast because I want you to have time to actually do this for your campuses, but I just want to make sure I don't run over any questions you might have. No? Is this making sense though? And when you're doing this, it'd be important to think about all the things we talked about when we went over the impact mission vision values in pairs for maturing chapters. So you will be evaluating yourself slightly harsher than the other chapters would, because as a more well-established chapter, you have the ability to be able to do more on your campus. So when we talk about, one of the things that we talked about in the para seminar yesterday was this idea that all of the pairs should be happening at small group levels and at large group levels. So when you're going through this, like your strengths might be like, we're doing all the pairs very well, large group, but we need to get better. A weakness might be we need to get better at doing it at the small group level. So really making sure that you're hitting all the different parts and the things that we've been talking about all week or all weekend. Because the way that you, as maturing chapters, the goal is for you to get even better and go even deeper into the impact, mission, vision, values, and pairs. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so the next step after you do this is you could use, so you begin to ask yourself these questions. How can you use your strengths to open up further opportunities? So how can your strengths open up further opportunities? But then also more opportunities becomes, when more opportunities become available, sorry, I worded this wrong, weird. But when more opportunities become available, does it eliminate some of those weaknesses? Or even as you eliminate weaknesses, does that open up more opportunities? So really kind of start thinking more deeply about all the things that you've already written out and saying, like, do your strengths open up more opportunities? But then also, if you take advantage of those opportunities, does that eliminate your weaknesses? But then also, when you approach your weaknesses, does it open up more opportunities? So really thinking through, like, as you begin to address all these different things that you're noticing about your campus, thinking about what will happen if I begin to address these things. As I begin to think a little bit more deeply about these things, does a strength open up opportunity? Does these more opportunities alleviate or eliminate these weaknesses? So, but then from there, you go into thinking about how do you build on your strengths. So how do you, recognizing the strengths that your chapter have, how do you build on those things? But then also, how do you boost your weaker areas? How do you address the weak spots that you have in your campus ministry? But then also, how do you fend off any threats? One of the things that stands out to me when we talk about fending off threats, I was reminded of one of the students yesterday that's trying to launch a chapter saying, well, the Black students on our campus don't like crew. So how do I deal with this? So the first question I asked her is, like, do they know about, like, the crew impact partnership, or do they just, do they know about impact? And she was like, they don't even know anything about impact. And I was like, well, just don't say you're part of crew. Like, just so it's like, that's one way where it's like, it's a threat that, oh, we are affiliated with an organization that Black students don't care for. But at the same time, the way to alleviate that is like, you know what, right now we're just impact. And we don't necessarily have to share that we're a partner with crew. Not saying that it will stay like that forever, but right now we can just start off and saying we're just impact. Because we have our own mission, vision, values, we have our own websites, we have our own conferences. So it's very easy for us to go ahead and push ahead as just impact. So that's one way for that campus to really fend off that threat of students deciding not to be involved because of our connection with crew. But then also exploit every opportunity. If you got an opportunity, you better use it. So if you have favor with the Multicultural Center or the Black Cultural Center or the African American Cultural Center, whatever centers you got on campus, you got favor with the staff, you better take advantage of that. You better have office hours, you better have a prayer box, like, you take advantage of all the opportunities you have and really live into those. So, like, even with the opportunities with social media, like taking full advantage of what you can do there. So whatever opportunities, whatever places where you have favor and buy-in, really living into those areas. Any questions, comments? What is standing out to you all, or what's the most helpful part of this are you finding?
I think one thing is helpful is just figuring out how to assess the current condition of your chapter, because I think we all know that we want to improve in certain areas, and I think by talking about things like this helps you figure out how to directly address those issues that you wish to fix.
Yeah. Cool, thank you. Does everybody feel like if I had time to do this, that I'll be able to do it? I went through it pretty fast, and I'll give you some tools, but will everybody feel comfortable hopping in and doing it? I see a couple nods. Okay. Has anyone ever used SWOT analysis before? Kayla, can you share like how did you use it, and what was it like using it?
So my sophomore into my junior year, I was a director of special events for one of a club on campus, UPB, which is University Program Board. And so I helped to develop programs. And so we used the SWOT analysis afterward to determine how well the event went. Like, did we get a big turnout? What were people talking about the most during the event? What other events may have been going on at the same time that stopped people from coming? And just how we could make the event better if we choose to do it another time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put you into breakout groups, and you're gonna do a SWOT analysis with your servant team. And hopefully there's multiple people from every servant team, so no one has to be alone. If it's not, I think it is though. If you haven't done so already, please put your school's acronym in your name, so that it'll make it easier for us to break you up in your teams. So there's a couple people that haven't done that yet. Kyle, Ladea. Let's see, Brianna, did you put yours in there? It's hard to, your name kind of long, so. But yeah, so we'll break you into your leadership teams, and you're gonna do a SWOT analysis of your chapter. And then after that, you're going to plan activities and events for your campus. And I'm not having you, because there's other tracks that are having people do extensive training, like planning. But I realized that in the maturing chapter, you all have like, y'all can have anywhere between 5 and 20 leaders. And if you look at this page, we don't have that many people on here. So chances are, I'm coming with the assumption that not all of your student leaders are on here. So I would like you all to try to begin to plan and think through virtual ministry things, different events and activities that you can do based off of what you've learned about your campus from the analysis that you do. And I'm going to give you a good amount of time, because we're supposed to be done at 2. I'm going to give you all about 30 minutes. You spend the first 15 minutes focusing on an analysis of your campus, and then the second 15 minutes to begin to plan and think through some ideas for your campus. And then we're going to come back for the last 15 minutes, and then we're going to debrief and hear about what you learned about your campus, and maybe even hear about some of the activities and events that you planned. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna go share screen, because I'm gonna share something with you before we begin to break you all up into groups. Let's see. Oops, did not mean to do that. All right, so I'm going to put a link in the chat for a document that I want to give you all access to. It has a description of how to do the SWOT analysis that we just went through, as well as what I'm asking you to do right now, and the link to the example survey that we used in Wisconsin, so that if you wanted to use that, you know, of course, edited version specifically for your campus, you can use that as well. So here is the link to that, and then Kayla, if you can move everyone into some breakout rooms.
Yeah, I will do that. It seems that Anastasia, though, is the only person that's from, oh, forget it, Darian. I thought she was the only person from LSU. All right, we're all good. I'll do that now.
Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, y'all, I'm about to put my share screen back on. Actually, I don't think I really need it, but let me make sure I'm not. All right, so I'm gonna take the share screen off, but these are the questions that I will love answers from every campus. So give me a second. I need to move some stuff around. All right, so what did you learn about your chapter? What changes you hope to make? But then also share 1 or 2 activities and events you're excited about doing on your campus that you planned during your breakout time. So we're going to spend a good amount of time of our rest of our time discussing these, and then we'll end if you have, and give you a chance to ask any other questions you might have. So any campus can start us off. But what did you learn about your campus? I forgot the questions already, but what you learn about your campus? What changes you hope to make, and then 1 or 2 events.
I can start. This is for Ball State. And something that me and Kayla discussed is that we noticed how, similar to like you were saying about UW-Madison, how following up with students that might come to a couple impact meetings, but they don't come the rest of the semester, like just being intentional about following up with them, and also reaching out to other Black orgs or even other organizations on campus as a whole and connecting with them. And that's something that we want to implement change on for next semester, and also connecting to other alumni on campus as well. We talked about like an alumni table. And then also just being more intentional with our biblical IQ in Bible studies, in weekly meetings or whatever, and just trying to implement all of our values and a mission statement into every aspect of all of our lives, and not just talking about it at the weekly meetings. And then a couple of events we talked about was like the soul, similar to what you were saying about the Soul Food Sunday. We were like, oh, that's a good idea, even though we probably will have to do a lot different than you guys because of everything going on. We talked about just having like an event where we're just discussing different topics around a table or something. And we also talked about like an impact book club, and we were talking about how Jimmy has suggested so many books, and all of the books suggested yesterday would be good to read with other impact students. So that's something that we wanted to start or try to do next semester.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing. One thing I do want to comment on, one thing that I've been thinking about doing in Wisconsin between all the campuses is like with alumni table. Now that we're virtual, you could probably get some alumni that's not local no more. So, and it's a lot easier for people to come. So, you know, it might be a cool opportunity to do something over Zoom and go live on Facebook or somewhere else, or even do, you know, live on Instagram and add them onto the live, you know, 1 alumni at a time. Or you could do a weekly alumni, like every week, you know, a corner, you know, I don't know. I suck at names for stuff. but like, like minutes, like some time with alumni, and it'll be a different alumni and a different career. And they talk about how they live out their faith in the career that they're in. And so yeah, and then maybe even sharing their contact information so that students that are studying or interested in the same thing that they are can connect with them. So there's a lot of that's the thing that I think that makes me excited about this fall, is that there's things that would not work if we were in person. But it can work now. You better take advantage of this opportunity, because there's a lot of cool things you can do that you won't be able to do another time. So thank you, Ball State. Who's next?
I can go. I will be talking about LSU. One thing that we learned about our chapter would be definitely understanding our strengths, that we are a very open and transparent group, and that when it comes down to discipleship, stewardship, and community, we do a really good job of teaching those values. Things that we can change, or we hope to change, would be talking more about prayer and justice, having a stronger presence within the Black community on our campus, because sometimes we tend to like do our own thing. So working more with the Black students on our campus would be great, and having a stronger social media presence, because that can help attract incoming freshmen and things like that. And then, what was the third question? Activities?
Yeah, share activity or event that you hope to do in the fall.
We also were thinking of the Soul Food Sunday activity. When I heard it, I was like, that sounds pretty nice. And plus, whenever you mention food, I believe people do follow. And then another thing that we were thinking about was maybe doing some type of involvement during Black History Month, because I think that's when we see most of the Black students on campus, like in large numbers. So doing some type of involvement during that month to attract more students and to also have a bigger presence on campus.
Thank you. That's one thing that I noticed about campuses. No matter what campus you're on, Black students are way more involved during February, during Black History Month. So that's the time where you really need to beef it up, and like partnerships and activities and stuff. That I think that's like the best time to really dig in to connecting with different Black student organizations as well as Black students. So yeah, Soul Food Sunday is one of our best ideas we ever had, because you get a bunch of people that come. Most of the people that come don't even come to Impact. They just come for the food, and then this time I think people came for the conversation because the topic was interesting and they were already talking about it. So it's one of our best events, most well-attended events. So whenever you're able to do it, definitely do it. It's definitely worth doing. And it engages people into some good conversation and thinking critically about how they live their lives, and what it's in a lot of ways, it's like an apologetics conversation. You know what apologetics is, like a topical thing. So like we talked about activism and forgiveness. Usually we talked about, can you be woke, a Christian, and Black? So like we usually talk about these apologetic ideas, things that are kind of controversial, or even that students have questions about. Yeah. Who's next?
I can go. This is Brianna, UW-Madison. So I think one thing that we learned talking in our group was just like, we have a lot of strengths, and I feel like if we just like feed on our strengths a little bit more, like our weaknesses will make up for it, basically. But we were pretty much on like the same accord with like pretty much all of our ideas. Some changes I think are like weaknesses that really showed out to both of us is that we have a core group of people, but just being intentional with like making sure that we are reaching out to people and reaching out to people that usually don't come, like the core people who are not the core group of people. So one thing that we really brought up is like we're mostly women in our groups, like, and getting more men and like evening out the ratio would be something to do. So to do this, we were talking about like getting the guys that do come to bring their friends, or even partnering with like the Black fraternities on campus, or even like we have a National Black Men's Association on our campus, so partnering with them would be a cool idea. We came up with a lot of really cool activities and events that I think would be really cool. Another thing we talked about was like maybe partnering with like social activism groups on campus. I know like Mecha is a Latinx org, and their sole like mission is like to fight oppression. So I feel like we could really play off of like our social activism like core value and do a really cool event with them. We also talked about like possibly doing book clubs or like reading articles and like talking about it, or having like really cool discussions on like COVID, mental health, and integrating those with like our faith. And then another idea we talked about was like possibly creating like a prayer list for people on our campus, just to know like what we should be praying for as the Impact leadership team, and also like how can we focus like our mission and our vision towards like the people on our campus. So yeah, that's some of the things we talked about.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Who's next?
I can speak for ISU's campus. We definitely had a lot of similarities with like other campuses, but we were able to write down some of our strengths and notice that we had quite a bit of them also. So we wanted to use that in our event planning and such, and be able to like make it virtual. So some things that we came up with that we already do, but kind of making it a virtual thing. So we gospelized the speed dating event and maybe calling it like speed friending, so that we can still build our community virtually rather than, because we don't have, so we implement food in probably like 95% of our events, and it gets everybody out. So thank you. So maybe if we can find a way to still be able to introduce ourselves to people, like with the freshman incoming class and everybody else and such. So that was something, our speed friending. Using for our Bible studies, we use Zoom and Facebook Live, which was, it was pretty successful for us when we switched to online. So maybe continue doing that. It was also suggested by another leader that maybe we should only do Facebook Live, so when we did it before, only the people who were leading the actual Bible study, so like praise and worship, prayer, stuff like that, were on Zoom, and we streamed it to Facebook Live, and our other leaders interacted with everybody coming in, shared it and stuff. But I guess like that, we were missing a component of the actual person who's emceeing, interacting with the Facebook Live folks. So that was just one thing brought up. Also, another big thing, our social media platform was a weakness because of consistency. The platform is just like weak all around. Like we have spurts of good things going on, and we all ran to social media when this crisis came, but it's like, do you keep up with it? Like how was mentioned earlier, when you look back on someone's page and see how long they've been active, or how often they post, or how interactive they are with their followers. So I think that's something that we definitely need to work on, but we can also use that with our strengths, because we think our leadership team is very relatable. We think that we have a large leadership team. So to use that, I was thinking maybe having like a Tuesday night or some type of night, like having a show every week, maybe coming on as student leader. Since Impact is student ran, we should be able to speak to the students too, and share our opinions, because that builds community, that builds, when you share your thoughts with someone, then people want to draw closer to you. And it's important for us to share light, especially with everything going on in the world. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you brought up a lot of thoughts for me. One of the things that, did I lose all the thoughts? Crazy. That's how you know I'm tired. But I'm trying to think. Um, yeah, it's so much you can do, and so many like opportunities that are there. Thank you for sharing about like having Zoom and Facebook happening at the same time and some of the struggles that came with that. That's something that, you know, it's hard to tell until you do it. So that's definitely something that's really helpful. Also, I'm starting to remember now. A lot of our events that I do on my campuses, I stole those ideas from other impact chapters. So I am not against stealing ideas. So one of my pro tips is follow as many impact chapters as you can on Instagram, because they will like post all their cool events. Like we had a line dance party. We stole that from Kent. Like we stole that, and nobody from Kent is on here. But like we stole that idea from Kent University. So there's like, I think take advantage of, you know, how everyone uses social media, because you can really steal some good ideas, and maybe adjust them to fit your campus. Also with social media, one thing that most of our campuses in Wisconsin do is that all the student leaders have days, like days for social media. So, you know, they might, you know, one student might have, most of our chapters don't have that many student leaders. So they might have 2 days. They might have Monday and Wednesday where they do the social media. So it might be things that, events that are coming up, they'll automatically post on the story. But then they also have like, they might have a thing that they do on their day. So we had one student that did studious Saturdays, because we know, or at least on UW-Madison campus, a lot of students spend a good chunk of Saturday studying. So it just fit in with the campus, and so to have studious Saturdays. And on those days, she'll post churches that students can go to the next day, but then she'll also post a book suggestion that she thought was interesting. So she was also a big reader. So all the books that she shared were all books that she read, and she did this for 2 years straight, never repeated a book. Like that's how much she read. So that's like something that has been cool. We've also had like throwback Thursdays and Talk to Me Tuesdays, and we changed it a little bit because our BSU has Talk to Me Tuesday, so we changed it to like some other name that was a playoff of that. So really just taking it like, you know, making it creative, and making sure you're posting something as often as possible. And that was our way to make sure that we were posting something every single day. And that dramatically changed our impact on campus. That year we started doing that, we went from having like a consistent group of 10 people to a consistent group of 30 people in 1 year. Just from changing our social media. That's the only thing we changed, was social media and blasting on social media, and then creating cool names for our events. Because then people was like, what's that? Like, that sounds interesting. So then they will come, or they will talk about how they want to come, but they can't make it because they have something else going on. So it was a lot of buzz around impact that year once we started enhancing our social media. So social media is very, very, very important. But I think we are officially out of time, aren't we? Kayla, are we out of time?
Yes, I'm double checking the schedule right now.
Okay. Does anybody have a quick question or comment?
I actually do have a quick comment. And this is just something that I've noticed from helping out with impact social media. I would suggest too, like find the platform that people look at the most. And that could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it can be Facebook, whatever platform you know students of your campus are on and are using, really put most of your efforts behind that one, because it doesn't make sense to pour resources into something that nobody's looking at. So if you find, you know, that platform that you know people are using, then try and make whatever materials you post on there really good, because it does attract people to it.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. We do most of our work, most of our campuses for students, we do mostly on Instagram, but then because I also have to do work for people that support me monthly. And I do most of that on Facebook because they be on Facebook. They don't even know what an Instagram or, these are older people. So most of my stuff for them is on Facebook, and then all the students are on Instagram. So learning which place do people try to see things. So, but yeah, any other comments or questions? Was this time helpful for you all? Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think we are officially out of time and we have to go over to the main session.
Yep. So in the chat, I just posted the link to the main session. You can copy down the meeting ID and the password and then head over there.
Awesome. Well, I enjoyed the weekend with you, and I am excited to steal ideas from y'all on social media because I follow you all. So, all right. See you in the general session.